Welcome everybody to Champ and Sons, episode 3 of our Let's Play Planet Coaster series. And today we get to the moment that everybody has been waiting for. We are finally going to start building our first roller coaster. Now, like I had mentioned in the last episode, it most likely was going to be a hybrid coaster, and well, as y'all will see here soon enough, that's what it's going to end up being. And just a little bit also kind of follow up with what I had spoke about last episode in terms of having just a little walking path towards a themed area. So I'm not going to get too much into the theming today or in this episode. We will build some of the station, but it's not going to be completely finished as far as the entrance queue and the overall design of the area. We'll get to that more of on the next episode or maybe even next 2 episodes. So, like I said, right now it is going to be just kind of mapping out where it's going to go for this section. And I went with the wood path mainly because, in my experience with theme parks, generally the hybrid coasters tend to be in a more Western style. It's unfortunate to say it's probably going to follow that pattern for this. However, I may not go like a full-blown Western with cactus type theming. There will be some buildings that have that style to it, though, to kind of dress up the area. I did go with the steel track hybrid instead of just the steel topped, mainly because I think in reality, in real life, that gives just more variation to what can be done with this type of coaster. And so, as we kind of jump into it, my theory with building, coasters in the game is make them fun. I like to try to make them as realistic as possible. So you'll kind of see that. One thing that's been kind of popular amongst the Planet Coaster community is a 4-meter smoothing method. I think it was Silverette that came up with that and started to show that to everybody. I will tell you this, I don't have that kind of patience to do the 4-meter smoothing. It just does not sit well with me. I've tried it before, and it does look great. And anybody that's seen one with the 4-meter smoothing method, you'll notice it looks really great. It is very smooth. It's just not something that I really have the patience for, to be honest with you. So I do shorten the track length. It's not quite 4 meters. It's more at about, if I had to guess, 6, going off the top of my head. Really, 6 meters, 8 meters, something like that. More about 6 meters, if I had to say. Track pieces. And I always like with my coasters generally to not always go out of the station and straight into the lift hill. Sometimes I have a little bit of turn to get moving just to build up the anticipation for it. And so as we get into this coaster build, you'll see one of the things I kind of learned early on is when you're coming down off the big hills or even the smaller hills, but really Planet Coaster kind of punishes you in the G-forces if you just take a sharp turn to flatten it out. So what I kind of figured without doing something like the 4-meter to smooth it out to make things better for physics-wise and for the G-forces in the game is essentially, depending on the degree of the drop, I think I went with a 75-degree drop here. I believe. Might be mistaken. But either way, 75-degree drop. As you come down, just each section just level it off a little bit more by 15 degrees. So 75 to 60 to 45 to 30. You get the point. And so that way it creates a pretty decent coming down to the ground, which doesn't overdo it in the G-forces and can give you some pretty good ratings. One thing I like doing with coasters that can go upside down, and when I say can go upside down, I mean in real life. You can change some of the settings in the game and make any coaster go upside down in this one. But I would say in a more realistic type of setting, I like it whenever you can take it upside down to incorporate that into a turn. It kind of makes things a little bit more exciting. It is a little bit more fun to watch. And another thing that I kind of go for in building coasters is trying to see how much airtime I can really get on it. What do the G forces look like coming through these sections? And so that's what I had kind of made a focus. And as always with any coaster that you're building, you got to have a turnaround section or bring it back somehow. And we are going to watch. I'm going to go through this a couple of times in the faster mode. We will get to have a live action after I have smoothed everything as much as I can, and kind of gone through it. So one thing you will notice is in my turnaround sections and some of these, um, not custom turnarounds, but some of the in-game pieces. So the in-game turnaround, the in-game zero G roll. It's one of those I can create them, and I've done them a few times on my own. But I really like the ones that the game puts in there for you. It's one of those things that they did a pretty decent job with them, at least in my opinion. So that's what I decided to go with for some of these rolls. And as you'll notice, I did have that zero G roll. And coming up here, got to make another sharp turn. So I'm going through the process of for every segment up. So from 0 to 15, twist the track. 15 to 30, twist the track. 30 to 45, twist and start the turn. And kind of going through that process to where I can get it to be able to make the twist, so essentially the zero G type of roll that I need while getting the track to turn appropriately without essentially killing the peeps. That's kind of the goal here is let me make this as fun and as intense as possible without killing someone with the G forces. So that's kind of my theory, especially with this type of roller coaster, because you can produce a lot of speed, a lot of airtime hills, and you can get some pretty tight, wicked turns going. And one thing I do really enjoy as a set piece on the tracks is it's essentially the flat loop. So it's really just a 90-degree kind of helix, but a very small helix. And I say small as in height wise. Um, I always enjoy having those because they produce some decent G forces, but you get a pretty good pull out of it. And I don't know if it's just the settings in terms of using the set pieces or created in-game track pieces that you see, but it provides a decent level of excitement, fear, and everything without being too overbearing. So I didn't have as much speed as I was wanting to coming into that flat loop, and I was hoping maybe if I could just change the size of the corkscrew coming into it, but that wasn't really working. So I went back through, took the corkscrew back out, and then I put it back in just a little bit smaller, and I also shrunk that flat loop. So coming into the stations, I always like to put essentially a block section at the end of the station. I put a block section, then I go brakes, and that leads into the ending of the track. So you'll see I did kind of get that complete, and I use autocomplete. It's nothing I fret upon. I don't think poorly on it. It makes my life easier, so that's why I go for it. And here I'm just making sure that everything goes around the track and is actually able to complete a circuit like it's supposed to. You'll see it is kind of bumpy going through some of those views, but I'm going to get on ahead and get that smoothed out here in a minute. And while you are watching this fun smoothing action, let me just explain my theory a little bit before I put you to the music. Well, the way I smooth it, the 4-meter smoothing method is you take 4 pieces smooth, and you do that like 30 times. So what I do is I just take 2 pieces, 2 of my track length pieces, and I just smooth those. Move it to, say, the next 2, smooth them. So what that means is track piece 1 and 2 are smooth. And then I smooth in track piece 2 and 3, smooth. 3 and 4, smooth, so on and so on. And that way it kind of leads everything to be smooth together. And I think it does a pretty decent job, but I'll let y'all kind of let me know what you think on that one. So kind of enjoy the tunes, enjoy the smoothing, and we'll get a couple more fast rides, and then I'll join y'all as we get ready for the live action regular speed ride on this roller coaster. And I'm back. So what you can see me doing here is kind of finishing up some smaller detail stuff as it pertains to the entrance queue. Like I said, next episode I will go a lot more into kind of detailing things around the queue just to make it all look good. But I am finishing up. This is a basic outline for our station. So come the next episode, as we dress up a lot of the area and even do some detailing on around the ride, it's going to become a lot more of a full picture, as you'll see. Um, I'm leaving some things undone. You'll notice for this, and kind of just I wanted to go not too westerny, but obviously this is a wooden coaster, even though it's got a steel track. It's something that I really still always kind of feel the need to go with. Um, this type of design for the station. And so we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and jump into a regular speed view of the ride. I've gone through, done all the smoothing on it. And actually, what I would like for y'all to do is if you can think of a name for it, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. And so we'll start working on that in the next episode as well, doing the name and the sign, the theming for the area, and maybe a flat ride or two. But so we'll see where that takes us. So as we approach the top of the hill, let's enjoy the no-named ride. Ooh, see, smooth into the bottom. Little rabbit hill. Whoa! Whoa! I'm just kidding. I'll let y'all enjoy the rest of the ride without my sound effects or my voiceover. Oh, who am I kidding? I can't go silent for that long. I do love how this really ended up turning out. Now, the one thing with the zero-G rolls that the in-game provides is, man, they have some pretty sharp ones. You know, the sharp uptick followed by the quick rollover, and a lot of that has to do with the size that I made it. But I do like how this one comes through. It has a nice flow to it, has some decent excitement. It slows down a little bit much right there, but I think I can accept that. I think that's a pretty decent amount. And so, yeah, there you go. Like I said, put your suggested names down in the comments section, and we'll see maybe in the next episode what we're going to call this bad boy. Got some really good ratings on it. So yeah, so I'm going to finish out mapping out the area with some of the path work, and keep in mind, and then the path work may change as far as the path type, even the layout of it. May put some path covers down. So, and if you have any suggestions for flat rides you want to see in the area, let me know that as well. We'll see what we can squeeze in there. And one of the things I do love about theme park rides is some of the views you can get from them. So that's kind of what we're putting in right here, as far as the pathway goes. Is let's get it up and close to the ride, so that way you can see the end of it. You can get a full, good shot view of the size of the coaster. You can hear the screams of the people as you walk past it. And that was kind of the idea of putting the pathway right next to these segments of the track. And it's really kind of just finishing off the area, and this is one of the harder parts that I do have a problem with is the pathing as far as once again the layout. I'm going to kind of block this section off, and as we go, it'll probably end up changing. I'd be surprised if it didn't. But we'll kind of see where it takes us and what all we can fit in there. You know, I'm trying to fight the urge to not put a log flume in there, although I really want a log flume or a river rapids. But if y'all have any other ideas for that, once again, let me just put it down in the comments and we'll see what we can come up with. So, name and additional rides you would like to see in this section. I think I might make this little middle area a little plaza for us, but we shall see. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and please stay tuned, like, and subscribe for future content. Okay? And as always, stay safe and later.